Donkey Kong Country, albeit one of the first games that probably comes to mind when thinking of Donkey Kong, feels like an odd fit for the titular character. In Country, Donkey Kong's primary attack is oddly rolling, and he can take just one hit before being knocked out. A lot of the game is spent sweating over very tight, precise jumps where one wrong move results again in instant death for him. I don't know about you, but when I look at a hulking Donkey Kong, I think meticulously navigating hazards with the fragility of a China doll rolling around is an odd direction to take the character. That's someone like Mario or Sonic's department. It seems like in hindsight, Rare were of the same mind, that Donkey Kong really isn't needed for the mechanics present in Country, since for Country 2, his scrawny sidekick Diddy Kong fills in for the role of protagonist, and it works fine. When it comes to games where the main playable character is Donkey Kong, Country, while great, feels like a 90s platformer where the main character happens to be wearing a Donkey Kong skin. Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, though, is a Donkey Kong game. If we need someone to like jump or roll, we can call Mario. He can handle those things just fine. But he'd be hard pressed to do this while naked. Donkey Kong assumes his highest power level yet for his adventure in Jungle Beat, where he tears through the animal kingdom, making every living thing in his way cave to his rule. And it feels awesome to let loose as this giant ape that just smashes everything in its way. Surprisingly, that type of power fantasy is made satisfying here, in a way I can think of few other games managing to, thanks to, of all things, a controller gimmick. DKJB is designed to be played with the GameCube bongos, and they managed to achieve things in this one game no game managed to on Nintendo's Wii console, a system sold primarily on the promise of interesting controller gimmicks. I think motion controls have primarily been at their best when simulating aiming or shooting, rather than melee combat. Let the player point at a target and hit a fire button, throw in some controller rumble perhaps, and then give visual feedback as to whether or not said target has been hit, and you've pretty much successfully simulated the basics of firing some kind of projectile. Simulating physical close-quarters combat with motion controls, though, has never been as successful. Without the physical feedback that comes with making contact with something, it's always going to be fairly unsatisfying to wave your arms at thin air to smash a target, no matter the visual feedback. Augmenting feedback with different degrees of rumble or something can only do so much to improve things at the moment. The more tactile feel of hitting buttons, I think, honestly does a better job at making hitting things satisfying. But few games have done as good of a job as Jungle Beat. Get an enemy on the back foot and slam into those bongos and a little bit of magic happens. The pummeling takes on an incredibly satisfying viscerality I can't imagine most other input methods matching. Each bongo correlating to each of DK's hands gives the punching a rhythmic quality that a single giant pad wouldn't be able to achieve either. If you're worried the game's audio won't deliver on the feeling of impact you're looking for, don't worry, you won't be hearing this. You'll be hearing this. Of course, while physical feedback is an incredible boost to the catharsis of combat here, the animations and the way they're timed also do a lot of work. Donkey Kong just looks like he's annihilating these dudes, and the freeze frames that punctuate critical hits really help sell the impact and importance of that blow. I also want to compliment the sinister look of some of the bosses. I think it's assumed that in a game with a light-hearted, goofy protagonist, that the villains must be light-hearted and goofy too. But giving the bosses here just a little bit of a sinister edge, with the demonic, soulless eyes, makes it all the more satisfying when our cheeky hero dodges a strike, sticks out his tongue at the self-important foe before him, and then goes to town. When moving around the environments, you tap the left or right bongo to move in said direction. Hit both bongos at once and he'll jump. The game acknowledges, for the most part, that precision platforming is out of the question for a 2D game where your inputs are two bongos, so bottomless pits are eliminated here in favor of flames that will launch DK back to the nearest safe spot. Rather than platforming in the traditional sense, the game is more focused on the challenge of keeping Donkey Kong's momentum going as you fling him through the air by grabbing launch pads or timing wall bounces. This is where the title's combo system comes in. Carry out as many unique actions as possible without touching the ground, and a point multiplier will go up, rewarding you with more points for bananas grabbed while the multiplier is in effect. The more points, the better the medal at the level's end, and the more levels you'll be able to unlock overall. This combo system generally encourages a more efficient style of play. Trying to grab as many bananas as possible without touching the ground is fun in great part because execution usually results in Donkey Kong flying through the air with a satisfying speed and dynamism. That said, I think having the backflip move specifically count towards the multiplier doesn't make much sense though. To do this move, you have to quickly jump after abruptly changing direction. You can only perform the backflip when first leaving the ground, which essentially means it's always an optimal strategy to perform it when leaving the ground. I don't think encouraging the player to always start a combo with the same fairly slow, flow-breaking move results in creative play, or let's face it, enjoyable play. Since it seems like the backflip's main use is starting a combo with an extra multiplier, I don't really see a great reason for it to be in the game at all, especially when it's so easy to activate on accident at a bad time. Are you willing to slow things down to get an extra bit of combo every time, or are you not? Outside of that, I think the aerial combo system is a good idea and creates a system to master in a 2D space that depends more on forgiving timed hits rather than on razor-tight platforming, appropriate for the bongos. While the game on the whole maintains a fun level of challenge without becoming frustrating, tailoring the level of precision needed to succeed to the little precision bongo controllers can afford when moving in a 2D environment, sometimes the title doesn't always quite pull it off. This boss, for example, perhaps piles on the requirements a little high, asking you to platform around a stage while grabbing bombs that explode if they take damage or are held for too long. And that's before even having to aim and throw them. I think the controller buckles under the pressure a little. There's also the bongo's microphone, which is used to register the player's clapping. Not to be confused with Donkey Kong's clapping, I mean the player, literally clapping. Player claps are performed for various timed actions like dodging in duels, and sometimes my claps failed to register with the game. It might be my aging peripheral, perhaps some people's claps all registered fine, but I'm sure there's other people who had their claps register less than me too, which I could imagine leading to some very aggravating moments, especially with medals on the line. Still, the fact that overall Jungle Beat executes so well on such an out there idea on the first try is really commendable. I can't think of much else like it. It's understandable you may have a hard time justifying owning those big ass bongos for one game, but you can also play the Donkey Konga rhythm games. Donkey Konga is fun to play. Track down the Japanese-only Donkey Konga 3 and you can use those bad boys to play the best Naruto opening theme. Or maybe some Dragon Ball 2 while you're at it. Jungle Beat got ported to the Wii, but from what I understand the bongos are incompatible with that version. So I'm assuming that the port is probably an inferior way to play the game. It would be fitting to end this video on a joke or sardonic quip about how Jungle Beat makes you feel like Donkey Kong. But in all honesty, it's hard to imagine playing as a berserker Donkey Kong having this kind of impact again on a regular gamepad or motion-controlled handset of some kind. I can only think of some big arcade-style sparring pad machine doing it better. Somehow, for home entertainment at least, bongos ended up being the best way to simulate the Donkey Kong life experience. I guess we won't be seeing that happen again. But when you think about it, since the GameCube bongos have the same plug as regular GameCube controllers, as long as Smash players keep demanding GameCube controller support for modern Nintendo consoles, I guess you can't really say the Donkey Kong bongos are truly dead. And until they are, mankind better beware, in case DK ever comes for us next. Just a heads up that we've been streaming over on that streaming website. We've been streaming quite frequently so far, every other day or so, and it's been quite fun. There should be a link on screen and in the description if you want to check it out. If you head over, you can receive notifications that let you know when we're live. I've been dabbling in some classics, but I'm also interested in playing some new stuff over there too. Thanks for watching, and peace out.